Good morning, world. How's everybody doing today? It is a beautiful gray morning here in Los Angeles. So yeah, just living it up as much as we can. Hey, Sparky Face. Good to see you. So yeah, just to make sure everything's working in order. It looks like everything's good. Awesome. Love it. Okay, so for anyone who's been around the last couple of weeks, in fact, here let me go ahead and turn on my Redshift renderer so that I can get a good render while we talk. Um, this is kind of what we've been working on in our limited spare time. Um, I'm having a ton of fun with her so far, and I mean, I've got things like the earrings blocked in. I'm trying to go ahead and work in things like, um, like realistic muscular structure. Um, Obviously, it's really super stylized right now, and I'm trying to get myself to a point of working it so that it's a bit more on the realistic side. Um, But yeah, so far she's coming along really, really well. Today, what I want to be able to work on are more the hands. And let me actually show you this real quick because this is super helpful. I got at Monster Palooza, I went to a friend's booth and got this beautiful tiger. Let me move the chat so that I can see you guys. That should work. Okay, so you can see like beautiful, beautiful écorché. This is the tiger from Evolutio. My friend Bitan Dan does these amazing écorché, and he has a bunch of other people that does these with him. But it's so phenomenal. But the thing that I wanted to do was be able to look at the structure for these paws and how they look in that écorché mode and be able to figure out how to make something like that or make the hands more like that, less human, a little bit more feline. Um, so yeah, I mean this is really cool. I mean it's got the the back paws are amazing too. I don't know if I can get these to really focus in. There we go. You can see that in the way that those are just beautifully posed. Such a beautiful piece. But yeah, Evolutio. Fantastic. Yeah, and Tan he works at ILM. That's his day job. He does amazing stuff. But yeah, so let's jump back into this and see about making some stuff happen. So a few of the things that I've been trying to do, and here I'll go ahead and bring my reference board over here so we can kind of look at this together. I've got a whole bunch of Sphinx cat reference over here so that I can look at this and figure out, okay, so these are the aspects that I like, the basic facial anatomy and things like that, how I want to embellish that. I've got Kate Bosworth over here because the eye stuff is really cool. Like I really like how she's got the two-tone eye. So I was playing with that the other day. It was really fun. Yeah, and then I've got like some drawovers of trying to figure out like, okay, so how's the costume going to fit into this? Um, some things that I wanted to be able to tweak with like the ear and the structure of the ear, being able to refine the nose shapes a little bit, little things like that, streamline the face shape, the eyes themselves, just fun stuff. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I do in my spare time. And then I got some other reference down here. I even have things like Shere Khan. Yeah, fun, useful stuff. Ancient Egyptian tattoos. That's pretty incredible, and I might do something like that. I don't think I would do it as like a black tattoo. I think I want it to feel a little bit more mystical than this. If I do anything, but yeah, just like the tattoo artwork of that. I think it's so neat. So I mean, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and this is like just a little experiment to figure out hair and what I want to do for hair. Um, One of the other things that I have, let me see if I've, let's get into our Sphinx, because I've got let me pull up the render that I did of the two-tone eye, just so we can see what that looks like next to our Kate Bosworth reference, just so we got that point of reference. Just kind of a fun, interesting idea to work through. So I think it might be something I do. I do think that the brown might be a little bit too dominant. I want it to be maybe more of like a quarter, or even like cut it down more to a third, something like that. Um, but yeah, I think it's something worth playing around with. It's something that's fun. Otherwise, I have these two lovely images right here. In fact, let's go ahead and shrink them down because I don't really need them to be too big. But yeah, just kind of testing out the misty blue versus like a kind of a dull gray brown. There'll be a lot of testing out eventually when I get into actual texturing. But yeah, it's just kind of helpful to block in color. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's fun. It's kind of more or less what I've got going on with. Hold on there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That's better. Okay. Got to get the stuff. How to make the eye. You'll have to go back and watch that from last week. I'm not going to go over that again. But it should be in last week's video. So feel free to go check that out. I can, however, show you what this looks like. Okay, so you can see kind of more or less what's going on. Okay, it's just a bunch of extrusions to be able to make the pupil, and then I changed the shape of the pupil so that it gave me a little bit more of like a relaxed feline sort of look, friendly feline sort of look. I think I still need to probably make it feel a little bit more almond shape, the pupil part, so that it feels a little bit more feline, but I think I'm really liking how it looks so far. Yeah, let's turn on the other eye. Eh, we'll keep it on this for now. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. The other thing I want to try to work through is that I have this idea for hair, which is like a lot bigger and a lot cooler than what I had originally. So we might try to get into that at some point too. Since we're at this though, I do want to start working on these hands. This is kind of my main, I'll say my main chore for today is starting to try to get this worked out. In fact, I'm going to just pull the tiger off the base so I can kind of turn it around and look at it. It's going to be helpful to me to be able to take it and look at different angles. So looking at the bottom side of the paw, that was sharp. The bottom side of the paw, really just trying to get a good feel for what's happening there anatomically. A lot of what's going to happen is we're going to have to take this thumb and thank you, Funky Logic. I appreciate you. It's very kind. It's a lot of fun, and I'm super excited for how it's going to, and that's a very good thing because honestly, this project is going to take me forever. Just going to go ahead and isolate these arms, but the thumb is something that I'm going to want to try to. It's like I'm trying to go through and weigh out, and maybe it'd be best to kind of look up some other reference to make sure that I understand how much of those bits is claw. And let me go ahead and jump back over to webcam view. Like, focus, there we go. Like, how much of that is claw and how much of that is actually flesh. Um, so it's one of those things that it's kind of crazy. So I'm trying to go through and weigh through that. It looks like there's a decent amount of flesh that kind of envelops the base of that claw. So that's kind of what I'm looking at trying to work through. Jackie. Hi, Jackie. These days I've been practicing. Unfortunately, I've still fallen into a period of confusion, often from morning to evening without progress, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I get that sometimes too. The reference has been studied for a long time. The polygon face count is also decreased low enough. Yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of stepping away, letting yourself relax and take a break. Um, it gets to be kind of tough when you're when you're working on something that you feel like is something that you're interested in, but then you feel like you hit a wall. I think it's a perfect time to kind of step away from it for a little bit, switch it up, do something a little bit different. You don't have to, obviously, but I feel like it's an opportunity for you to kind of play with that sort of thing, um, that sort of idea of kind of stepping away. But yeah, think about it. I mean, it's one of those things that think about what it is that you're trying to achieve. Think about what it is that this is gonna be such a wild ride. Okay, yeah, because like I do this sort of thing all the time um, where I'll get stuck on something, and it's okay. It's just kind of how it goes, but it's just a matter of figuring out what you want and learning how to step back, look at it from a different angle, and not being afraid to either start over or start back from an earlier point to really figure out what's going on. Okay. So one thing that I feel like I do want to have is I want to take this thumb and I want to move it up more so that it's closer to the wrist. Um, Now that I've gone through and I've cycled around this like a dozen times, here let me do this. Um, just so that I can have a good point of reference for everybody on screen. Let's do this. Just so that anybody coming in can know what it is that we're working on. Okay. So I'm going to take this. It's really kind of an interesting thing to try to work out. Because I mean, it's definitely going to have to be very different. In order to feel feline, it needs to not feel too human. I mean, I'm trying to find a balance between the two. And it'll take a while, and I might have to do like what I was suggesting earlier, like starting over, or going back to an earlier point and trying to figure things out. But it's worth it to figure out, be able to ask yourself those questions of what's working, what isn't working. That's kind of a cool setup. I like how that's working. I like how that's working. Something like this. I love the ability to be able to hide polygroups. It's such a useful thing. I mean, I talk about the simple little things like that all the time, but it really is that amazing to me, just how useful it is. Got to make sure that I keep my chat up so that I can see whether or not I get messages. I want to make sure that if you guys have questions or things, just random things you want to talk about, I want to make sure that I can at least see that, so you don't feel like I'm ignoring you. Okay, so I'm liking that. I'm curious what I could do. I mean, everything feels really lumpy through here. My hope is that um, once I figure out kind of the forms of the fingers, I can go ahead and merge this in and work out this transition a little bit better. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to. Excuse me. I'm trying to work out this transition first. So I can figure out what it is that I want to see happen with the fingers before I make them actual part of the hand. I think I must have turned off my what's it called, my Dynamesh at some point. Yeah, it's a little bit too low res. Let's put it up to 512, and that should be good enough. And you know what? I might actually take the thumb and make it part of the hand, just because I feel like that'll make everything a little bit easier to work with. See, now I can go through and make sure that it's designed in a more streamlined sort of way. I can figure out how this anatomy is supposed to go. I look at my own hand to be able to figure this out. Be able to figure out that transition, and then we can make sure that all the padding here on the palm is nice. This is one of those aspects that I want to be more human, because I do want her to be like this legendary Sphinx. I don't want it to be like a Sphinx cat that's the total furry suit. I want it to be. Um, let's turn this down some. I want this to be something that feels legendary, something that feels like it's born of myth and legend. But then there are little aspects of it, like having those anatomical cues that are human, having those anatomical cues that are feline, to make it relatable, to make it something like, okay, I recognize this, I feel where this is coming from. Um, it's kind of ease out this transition a bit. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. Okay, I'm liking this because it's feeling a lot more. I just woke up. Am I late? You're not. You're not. You're not late, Jace. Who is it that usually shows up late and they're like, oh, I just caught the tail end? I can't even remember who it is right at the moment off the top of my head. But somebody always comes in like right as I'm about to end. And they're like, oh no. I now convince myself not to push too hard because for 10 years I was originally just for pleasure, but I pushed myself into such a situation. Yeah, I can see that. And it's good to push yourself. I think it's important to push yourself because, you know, I think art is one of those things that, um, aside from the community, I don't think most people are going to push you in your art. Um, I think that the people who have very supportive parents are few and far between. Um, I'm fortunate that I'm one of those, that I have very supportive parents. My wife is very supportive. My kids are extremely supportive. um, but I feel like people who have really supportive family members, um, you know, that literally push you to be better as an artist. I think that's rare, and so yeah, we do have to push ourselves as artists oftentimes to get better and to meet our own goals and things like that. And nobody's gonna do it for us really. So I totally understand that. Okay, I'm trying to work out some different things for the wrist here. Those fingers still feel like too human. So I need to work out. And maybe it's a matter of just adding a nice claw fingernail to it to be able to sharpen it and make it feel good. But I'll have to see. That's nice to have, Jackie. Happy for you. Well, happy for you, and cheering for you. I'm rooting for you. Can we apply colorful texture on a model? I want to add color texture. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's super easy. It's like I have with the rest of my character here. You can see um, she has different color applied and things like that. So it's just a matter of having RGB on, and you can come through and start to paint. There are a lot of things that you can do to modify how that looks, but you know, good stuff. Good stuff. Let's change this back. Okay. So what I want to do, maybe let's focus on the thumb as a way of being able to do what we call a vertical slice. The idea is to get something that feels good in one spot, and then be able to replicate what you did on the other spots, on the other areas, the other pieces of the puzzle. Um, this feels a little bit twisted. So I'm trying to work this out so that it feels a little bit more structured, and so that it feels like it's hitting the right plane. Um, let's see. Right now, I'm trying to look at this. It might be easier to just like pick up the webcam. This is what I'm looking at right now, and you can see like the paw. Like there's this beautiful paw, and there's like another one down there too. But this one has like this really nice structure to it, and so it's really easy for me to kind of figure out based on that particular paw. Let's make sure this is angled nicely. Is it angled all right? Yeah, there we go. We're good. So I'm trying to figure out how that particular anatomy could apply to a finger, to a hand, because it's crazy. Um, I'm crazy for choosing this project, but I'm going to figure so many things out. I'm going to be so smart when this is done. Yeah. I'm a lecturer in 3D modeling and animation at a university, all because I have supportive parents. That's cool. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name, but thank you. It is cute reference. Let me see, let's get something like that. And one of the things that I want to make sure of when I'm dealing with this hand is that because I changed the proportions so much to make it feel a little bit closer to a cat's hand, I want to be careful that I am not that I'm not um, that it feels intentional, that it's not like somebody's going to come in later and be like, oh, that hand's terrible. It's like, no, I want it to feel very like people can look at it and be like, oh, okay, I see what he did. I see what he did. Whether or not somebody agrees with it, yeah, it's a different story. I feel like there will always be people that try to stir up sediment just because like they don't like other people to be happy. But whatever. You know what? I think I might still have some water in my water bottle from work. Let me see. Jackpot. It's nice to have a little bit of water around. That's something that I should put in there. I should put in a mute button. I mean, I've got this one. So, I mean, that works. It could be a good thing to put. One of the things that I got recently, I got it from a guy at work, is the Stream Deck, and it's so helpful. In fact, let me go ahead and get to the webcam view. There's the Stream Deck. So you can see up here in this corner is the like live streaming button. You can see it's active because we're streaming. I've got buttons for being able to go to the webcam view. I've got it for ZBrush Live and then the starting soon. And then I'm trying to think, what else do I have? to be able to pull up my websites, and then button down here to be able to record. So really, really cool. It's a super neat tool, and it's really streamlined my streaming quite a bit. So it just makes it really easy to switch back and forth between all these different modes. Super happy about it. Super happy about it. So if you're into streaming and want something to really help streamline your streaming process, I totally recommend a Stream Deck. No, it's not sponsored. It should be. It should be. I'm going to be their biggest influencer. Oh, look at that. Somebody left because I said something about Stream Deck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come back. Okay, let's see. Let's play with this. Now, part of what I'm trying to do is like roughly get my anatomy in there, and then I want to try um, to well, it's like I'm trying to get this in streamlined so that it's easy to process. But then I also want to make sure that the structure is proper. It helps me to understand the structure much better if I can see it in a more simplified way. So I'm trying to, I'm not getting too nitty gritty with it. I'm not like, okay, so this muscle goes here and this other, it's like it's more just a matter of gotta have them gadgets. Yeah, the gadgets are nice. Rodolfo, hey, Rodolfo Silva, but not the fake one, the official one. That's pretty cool. Who are you when you're off the clock? This is me when I'm off the clock. When I'm off the clock. Yeah, actually, when I'm off the clock, I do like go hang out with the family or play games with the kids or like the kids have been working their way through Hogwarts Legacy with me, so it's been pretty fun. Um, yeah, I got to work on the game, and so watching my kids be so excited about it is really really satisfying. Um, it's really satisfying. Yeah, yep, it is. It truly is. Let's kind of get this knocked back just a little bit. Okay, this little bit right here, I mean, it kind of bothers me that it's not overlapping in the same way that the rest of the hand is. So I'm just trying to like take away the crazy little by little. Check it from different angles. It's like I feel like one of the things that's setting me back mentally right now is the way that this hand is transitioning into the fingers. And so I'm trying to work this out a little bit and hoping that as I do, I'll come up with solutions for how I want the fingers to actually look. Um, because I do feel like it's coming along. It's like I just feel like this. So you see how it's like it's got this taper, so it's like it's wide right here and it's narrow right here. I feel like it needs to be the opposite. Um, However, I don't want the hand to be like insanely wide at all. Um, so it becomes a matter of figuring out placement more than anything, I think. It's like I feel like that might be just a little bit too off center. I do have my lasso, okay. Just want it to be a little less off center. I don't know if off center is quite the right term for what I'm looking at. Because like the hand and the structure of the hand and the way that it flows to the wrist, it's really, really fascinating and really, really frustrating. Let's try kind of leveling that out some. Something like that. Let me see. Will it let me pick from here? It will. Awesome. Just easier to easier to select if I've got everything available right there. Thanks, Diego. It's really tricky. I mean, trying to make them feel feline, and also trying to make them feel human. So it's a wild ride. How you doing, sis? Taking Indy for a walk. How are things going with the pup? Let's see. Let's go ahead and say symmetry. Turn off dynamic. He seems to be more Ryan's dog than anybody else's. Pup is doing good. Hey, Luigi. Still working on getting him not to jump on Ren, but he's been adjusting really well. Yeah, that pup has some crazy blue eyes. Yeah, let me see. I'm trying to look at my reference and trying to figure out. It's like I don't want too much curl with the claws. Okay. 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 So it feels like what I want to do is more of a retracted claw. So let's see about getting the claws in here. And that way we'll be able to figure out if it's working with the structure or not. Um, Got to figure out a good shape for that. And let's use this. We'll use the Q cube simple. Q cube. Wait, what's you doing, boss? What's you doing? That is really, really weird. What in the world are you trying to do? Okay, this is not behaving predictably at all. Why are you doing this? Oh my god. I did. I turned it off and turned it on and ah, stupid. Local symmetry. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. I'm not even going to try. It's brain fart. Brain fart. It's early on a Saturday morning. Yeah, let's see. Let's try doing it with something like this. And then we're going to say bend curve. We're going to change the change the orientation. In fact, let's go. Yeah, we could keep it on this. This would be fine. Go ahead and we'll kind of bring this out. We gotta scale it. Scale it. And we'll see about tapering in this end a little bit more once we have this worked out. But the other thing I want to do, let's grab this again. We have this squeeze. So we can get a little bit more narrow of a transition here. I'm trying to decide if I like that. Let's keep it full. Let's keep it full. But then we'll go ahead and we'll say scale a little bit more and get it a little bit thinner so that it feels sharper. Let's do something like that maybe. Yeah. Speaking of crashes, I better hit save. Okay. So far, that's feeling all right. Let's go ahead and hit accept because there are still some things that I need to do to this to shape it. Part of it's going to be taking this bottom part and moving it up some. So let's kind of play with that a little bit. It's like it's all about kind of making that shape and tweaking it. It's kind of like it's all getting super tweaked out. It might be something that I add a little bit more volume or shape to at some point as well, but for now we're going to keep this pretty simple. Okay, so get that so that it's got a little bit of an embed. I'm just going to grab this color. We'll say color fill object. That's pretty cool. Might be a little bit too dark, but it's pretty cool. It's a little bit off in its placement, but that's okay. Here, actually, let's... My Control H won't work to be able to like do the masking. Usually what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll hit hide mask. Hold on, give me a second. Oh, view mask. This button right here. You see, it says Control H. And now it works. I just reassigned it. I just reassigned it. Control H. Now it works. Oh my gosh. That's a weird little bug. I was thinking about this the other night, and I was like, dang it. And then it occurred to me, try reassigning it. Okay, it worked. How about that? How do you like them apples? Okay, so let's go ahead. I want to take this piece. Let's kind of give it a little bit more of that skin color. I like that. We'll decide later how much we like it. And let's say split unmasked, just so that we have, we'll call this claws. Just got to make sure that this is aligning well with the thumb. And it's like I thought about taking this and making it so that it's like quite retracted. That feels a little bit too much though. Like I kind of like. Let's give it a little bit more width. I'm trying to, yeah, make it shiny. I definitely should at some point. For right now, I want to see it just matte. I think that works. Because I'm trying to make sure that I'm judging forms and volumes and things like that. And sometimes the spec can make it a little bit. Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of material I make it. So let's try it. Let's give it like like not the standard matte, but let's give it. Like a vinyl. Probably the vinyl. So let's come over here, material, color, fill object. And then for this, we want to take it back to the stylized skin, material, fill object. So that way that's not messing with anything. So now a lot of what we're going to need to do is control the anatomy in the joints to make sure that that's creating some appealing shapes, because right now it's really messy. I'm going to tear this off. Ow, right? Let's start to pull this over and put it into place. So I got to make sure that this is in line with the finger, but I also have to make sure it's sitting on top. And And again, like I was saying with the thumb, I mean, we're gonna have to work on the finger anatomy to make sure that it feels incorporated. Um, and then the size of them will stay pretty consistent between like the first three, like the middle three fingers, the index, the middle finger, and the ring finger. The thumb finger might be a little bit larger, but let's go ahead and like shrink it down maybe 10% or 5%. I don't want to shrink it down too much. Then eventually, when we start like pulling in more realism to these things, we'll probably go ahead and really push and pull some of the shape, um, some of the structure. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this little lovely right here. I definitely don't have the cleanest models in the industry. Like a lot of my friends from work are insanely clean, but they don't necessarily sculpt everything inside of ZBrush. They go through and they model it inside of Maya. Um, it's insane. Like they do such incredible work. I am so fortunate to work with the guys that I with the team that I work with. Guys, is it's so neat. Um, Very inspirational. Very make that a little bit smaller maybe. Something I'm trying to experiment with too is like placement on the finger. Um, to be able to see kind of the way that it curls off the fingertip, to see if it's working or not. And then this needs to be down. That doesn't feel too bad. Let's make it a little bit smaller though. The thumb needs to be a lot larger though. I don't know if it's necessarily like longer. Let's see about, yeah, I'll make it a little bit longer, but not a ton. And then I think a lot of it might just be placement too. See, that feels pretty cool. I want to try to add a little bit more of that color though. Kind of bring it a little bit closer in tone to the skin. That feels pretty cool. Save. Hey, Prashan, how you doing, buddy? I almost knocked my tiger right off the table. Yeah, let me see. You see, that's feeling much more feline now, just because of the claws. Like that's super super funny. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start sculpting out these fingers. A lot of it's going to be just like push and pull to try to make it feel like it's got the right, what's it called? Um, the right form. We're going to kind of pull some of that so we get a little bit more flesh at the top. Because I mean, in the end, I want it to feel like it's a retractable claw to some extent. You know, might be the wrong choice, but we'll see. Like I said, a lot of move brush. Yeah, let's see if we can turn off the torso and the tail. Left the head on. That's pretty fun. Okay. Dude, Prashan, I was looking at your latest post on Instagram, and so clean, so like everything so nice looking. It's so good. You're totally killing it, dude. For anybody who isn't familiar with Prashan, he does these really cool quick speed sculpts and projects, and he whips them out. He whips them out like super fast, and he's been getting like this insane amount of progress, like just over the last year even. like, like amazing. And he'll be at Lightbox. So if you the mother and baby bear that he did, I don't remember that one off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna pull it up. Prashan. Oh, okay. I did see that one. That's beautiful. That's fun. It's sweet. Yeah, the one with the couple playing the guitar and everything. That was so much fun. And then the one with like the little girl and the lamb and whatnot. It's just beautiful. The John Wick was fun too. And the motorcycle. The motorcycle was amazing. Like I love that motorcycle one. It's so cool. So cool. So yeah, if you get in fact let me pull up some websites here. Let's go over into Instagram. If you're interested in being able to find my stuff, here's my link, or set of links rather. Here's my link in bio, which also is listed in the description below. But let me see, Prashan. Where's the search? It's over here. Prashan. So yeah, this is Prashan right here. So yeah, you gotta go give him a follow. Like he's awesome. He's so good. In fact, he 3D printed this little tortoise for me. It's out of reach. It's over by my other computer. Um, but yeah, he 3D printed it for me as like a Cintiq stylus holder. Really fun. And then yeah, yeah. Here's the motorcycle one. I love this one. So stinking cool. Such a great, amount of squash and movement, and it just feels so alive. And then your presentation method is just awesome and just rocking it. Anyway, like awesome. Anyway, so yeah, that's Prashan. That's Prashan. Okay, going to set my tiger back on the stand just to kind of get it out of the way so that I don't knock it off of my desk on accident. Hopefully. There we go. I want to try to get a little bit more of a taper back here at the back. Because I feel like that'll help to increase my chances of getting the shape for the transition of the nail to the individual digits that I'm hoping for. Yeah, for sure. You're too kind. But I'm obviously not the best. You have like 4 times as many followers as I do, so you're definitely the best. You're definitely the best. Okay, so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to accent those changes, those knuckle changes. I'm trying to make sure that they're not in a straight line going across. Um, yeah, I totally agree about the music. Oh, I'm gonna see about kind of adjusting a couple of things. The pinky is one that we could probably go through and tweak a little bit more. Get a little bit more of like a, yeah, something like that. And that's starting to work. It's starting to work. It's there's a lot. But I think it's starting to look a little bit more the way that I'm hoping for. Starting to get much more of like a bony hand structure. Let's kind of dig into this a little bit. Oh shoot. Here we go. It's like getting the right structure on these fingertips is going to be important. And I could technically go through, get one right, and then duplicate it around, but I feel like it's kind of working. It's just a matter of working it. Use like that Damien standard brush. Okay, I'm liking how that's starting to look like these little like heart-shaped knuckles. I think that's starting to work for that. I'm going to want to do something a little bit different for this middle knuckle, or like this middle row of knuckles. Um, but it's working. It's working. Let's go ahead and kind of accent those ridges a little bit. It's like I want to be careful that I don't make it feel too bony. But I do feel like having some level of transition here will be helpful, like a planar transition. Man, I've been craving like a good chicken sandwich lately, and I had two of them this week. Just like, dang it. My understanding is that I've got to try Cane's at some point. I've done Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is good, but I've tried Jollibee. Jollibee's really good. I've tried Popeyes. It's pretty alright. It's pretty good. Let's get that torso and tail turned back on so we can kind of see everything in context. I want to see about taking these claws, let's duplicate them out and bring them down to the feet, because that could be kind of cool. Oh no! Mirror and weld! Mirror and weld! I hate it when it does that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Delete hidden. Center that, and we'll just kind of tweak this so that this is facing in a general right direction. Okay, let's get these facing more in a claw-like direction. I want to make sure that we have symmetry, or that we have polygroups. Let's see about kind of exaggerating some of the curve there. Put that so that's kind of coming out. And let me look at my tiger and see kind of how. It's like I really like the idea of these claws kind of like almost pointing in toward the center a little bit. So I think that it's a matter of taking it something like this. Oops, W. Just kind of tweaking it so that it's got a little bit of a curve kind of going in. Similar thing here. it's that some of them are a little bit more hidden than others. This particular toe, I want to see it be a little bit more sculpted around. Sorry, I'm like going through my whole thought process, and I haven't even checked the chat in a couple minutes. Oh, good. Okay, I'm not missing anything. You guys are quiet. You're quiet today. Let's do something like this. Just kind of make sure that that's going around that nail nice and tight. That's looking pretty sick. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this and we'll pull this up. Just kind of drag this over a little bit more, I think. Just kind of scratch that into the surface. Build up a little bit. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go, that's a little bit better. There we go. Oh, she's already looking so much cooler. I mean, there's a ton of work that we still need to do with the hands, but this is coming along really, really nicely. Let me see. Save. If Quentin were here. Alright. Trying to get better at making sure that if I do mute myself that I turn it back on immediately after after I'm done with whatever I muted myself for. Okay. This is super cool. Okay, so one of the things that I want to start trying to work out how to do STH, that's something. How to do a sharp edge in something like a piece of cheese. Thanks, Prashant. How to do a sharp edge in something like a piece of cheese. Well, I mean, it kind of depends on what it is that you're trying to do. If you're trying to do like realistic cheese, then I mean, you're going to want to make sure that you have some level of rounding to the edge. But you know, say for instance, I wanted to. Here, let's duplicate this out so that I don't have to worry about ruining it. If I wanted to be able to make two parts out of this arm, one of the things that I'd want to do is I'd come in here, make sure it's all one poly group, and I could say slice, and then I can just slice that like that. Sure, it's taking a minute. Oh, I don't want it to have that on. Okay. It's like, that's why it's taking a while. Okay, so now I have these two poly groups, which then I can go ahead and say geometry, modify topology, and then I could say unweld groups border, and I can say close holes. Okay, and then if I were to go ahead and give this just like a gentle smooth going around that edge. That'll get me like just a very subtle rounding on that edge. Oh, I guess it didn't do it on the other side. That's fine. So now essentially what I have, Control Shift A. So now I have this, this slice of the arm. We'll say Control W. We can kind of tear it away. So now we've got this nice clean slice. So that's something that we can do. Cartoon cheese. I'd probably do about the same thing. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I would try to do. I mean, if I were trying to create a new slice of cheese, like a Tom and Jerry type cheese, you could do a couple things. You could come over here, let's say, turn off symmetry, and we'll just center that. Actually, let's center it down here so that we can go ahead and we can pick our primitives. We could grab like a cube, just really, really quick and easy. With ZModeler, we can say stitch to midpoint. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I knew which orientation I was working with. So you stitch to midpoint, so we get this sort of thing. So it's like a nice little triangle. Okay, kind of lengthen it out if you want to. Okay, and then a couple things that we can do. What I would do, let's go ahead and bring this actually all the way to the bottom because I don't want to have that associated with anything. I'm going to put this into a folder, cheese, and then I'm going to bring in a sphere. Let's say brush IMM. We'll do sphere. You do things like this, I don't know, like depending on what kind of cheese you're trying to do anyway, right? Do like a little one here, maybe a big one right here, kind of another medium-ish one here. Get one on the front so that we get a little bit of a breakup in the silhouette. One here, that sort of thing. Someone asked how to make cheese. Well, now you're going to know the best way. No, I'm just kidding. Let's take off that corner just for kicks and giggles, right? Something like this and something like that. I don't know. Something, right? So, what we're going to do, we're going to isolate this. We're going to say split hidden. Okay, so now we've got these right here, which we'll take and make into negatives. We'll take this and we'll leave it positive. Okay, so now we got this sort of thing going on. If we turn on live booleans, this is kind of what we're starting to get, right? Really, really cool. Okay, super simple. Okay, now we're not done yet, right? We're going to come over here. We're going to grab this. We're going to grab this. And we're going to say Boolean with dynamic subdivisions. Okay, so now we got this piece of cheese that's literally ready for us. If we hit our dynamics though, it's not going to work for us. So we're going to come over, we're going to say geometry crease PG. Still not quite working for us. Yeah, it modified the whole thing over there, so that's going to be kind of tricky. Let's say, yeah, it's not going to work for us. We could do this though. We could go into the Z plugin. We could go to Bevel Pro, open up Bevel Pro. Okay, you can see just how much of a mess that is. That's really quite messy, actually. Okay, I'm going to do something real quick before actually committing to this piece. Let's say delete. Turn this on. Say geometry, crease PG. And yeah, let's say we'll keep it creased all the way up like that. We'll say hold on, why isn't it? Oh, it's open. Why is it open? It should not be open. Okay. I'm going to give it like a decent number of subdivisions just so that we have... Yeah, maybe that's too many. Let's say delete lower, something like that. Okay. So now we can come over here. We can say, let's grab this and we'll say Boolean dynamic subdivision. Oh, we got to turn off solo mode. Now we can say Boolean dynamic subdivisions. Okay, so now we get this sort of thing, which is a lot easier to deal with. Same thing, geometry, crease, PG. We get a little bit nicer of a transition. If we wanted to, we could just turn on our Sculptris Pro, make it nice and low. We can even smooth this out a couple of times. And then we can go ahead and we can just start smoothing things out so that we get a little bit cartoonier of an edge. Or it doesn't seem to be working quite as smoothly as I'd want, so... Oh, that's why it's not working. I still have subdivision levels. Let's say delete lower. So now if I turn on Sculptris Pro, now it's actually working. I was like, it doesn't seem like it's actually Sculptris Proing. It's Sculptris Amateuring. So yeah, you just go through and you kind of sculpt it and make it pretty. So yeah, anyway, you do that with the whole thing. And it makes it nice. I should have smoothed out the whole cuts before actually committing to the Boolean, but meh, it worked. Worked well enough. It's really funny. So why cheese? Is it just like people trying to make a collection of other artists making the cheese? Oh, that's a mess. Yeah, let's say uncrease all, just so that we don't have that as a mess to deal with. I'm going to get rid of the blue because that's definitely messy. And we'll just say close holes. Wow, such a mess. The reason this happened, by the way, is because I had this face as part of the Boolean operation. So if I were to go through delete hidden, let's go ahead and make this a little bit better. Let's say delete. Okay. So you see that's a much smoother piece right there now. Boolean dynamic subdivisions. Now we've got something that's a little bit more more predictable. And now we can smooth it down and it's going to feel a little bit nicer. So yeah. Cartoony cheese. It's easy. Maybe Maybe I'll have to retopo it and put it in Overwatch somewhere, just as like an Easter egg. Just kidding. But it could be funny. So you could do something like that and just keep smoothing things out the way that you want to until it feels good. Or we could also come in here, we could say ZRemesher and play with it that way. Geometry, ZRemesher. We'll just turn off adapt, hit ZRemesher, see what it is that it gives us. And then we can hit smooth. That actually works out pretty nicely. I mean, it's a ton of topology, but it's, you know, whatever. It's one of those whatever sort of things. You'd play with that at some other time. Delete all. Delete. Yeah, my scroll. I need to go through and play with that scroll at some point. Yeah, sculptress amateuring. I did not give permission to be modeled. If I want to do a hole through the cheese, yeah, you use the Boolean tool as well. Yep. Booleans are nice because they don't necessarily have to be connected to the outside. Let me see. Now that I've been completely derailed, see if I can get my brain back into what I was doing. Yeah, let's continue working on these hands just a little bit. Stop that. So like, there's this bit right here. I want to make sure that this is creating a nice shape rather than yeah, it feels like it's rather inconsistent, mostly on that specific finger, which is funny. Not any reason why it's funny. It's just funny. It's just that one, really. Although this one has some issues too. So it's all about trying to make sure that it has the right shape as it's meeting the base of those knuckles. Something that I feel like needs to happen is getting a bit more of a transition underneath the knuckles. And then I want to develop some sort of padding for the fingertips so that they feel soft. I think that it'll help to also improve the feeling of the feline sort of nature of this character. That's nice. There might be a point where it's like I get to, because like I really like how this finger is looking right now. I don't feel like any of the other fingers are quite fitting what's happening with this particular finger at the moment. So it might be a matter of, except for the pinky. I mean, the pinky's doing just fine. But I really like what I have going on with this ring finger right now. So might take I might take this ring finger and duplicate it over to the middle and index fingers. Um, use it as my vertical slice finger. One of the things that's standing out to me that I like about it is that I like that the transition from finger to nail is subtle. You know, it feels subtle. It feels like it's not overstated. But it still feels defined. And that's something that I was aiming for with that. So I think that that's worthwhile. So I might just go through, focus on finishing out that particular finger. In fact, let's use the clay brush. Let's see if we can kind of figure something out with this particular digit. Just gonna solo it out so that it's its own thing. So I mean, like with my own hands, like this is all very level and it's like very straight. So I'm trying to make sure that I figure out a good balance of what I see and what I want to see. Like the whole point of design is figuring out the balance of what you see and what you want to see. In fact, I really quite like that. That's a great insight. Design is finding the balance between what you see and what you want to see. I like it. Would you look at that? Howdy, Skelly. How you doing, Skelly? Skeleton. Yeah. It could be your nickname for Halloween. I'm Skelly. Skeleton. Yeah. Do a little bone dance or something. I don't know. I don't know how skeletons dance. Let's see if we can get this structure to be a little bit better. I'm trying to think, because like with knuckles, they're really not like insanely defined, and this is going to be quite stylized. And it might be something where I have it stylized, but I tone it back quite a bit. While I search for whatever becomes final. Let's go ahead and kind of play with that form right there so that it has a little bit more a square top, and I like that. I think that that's cool. I might try to do something similar to this knuckle as well. Let's give it a little bit of like a little bit of a heart there as well, which makes it feel very skeletal. And I don't know, maybe that's not quite the right move. So let's just kind of take it out just a bit. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just kind of have this so that it starts off as bony and then fades to flesh, bony, fades to flesh. So I think this edge right here is too much. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's like I've had these issues with my shoulder the last few days that I thought I had gotten rid of. Look at it from this angle, we can see that like it's kind of offset and lopsided. So I'm just going to try to pull that in a bit. It's like it's all about going through those different angles, or else things are going to be kind of inconsistent and just not right. Okay, I think I like this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this, control click and drag, just to make sure that we are getting these things placed more or less where we want. And even if we make some adjustments to the point of it being a little bit different than it was when it was the ring finger, I think it'll still be good and helpful having it as the base. A little bit bigger. Come on, there we go. Okay. So that feels pretty good. Okay, so let's get that index finger in there. Shrink it back down some. Change that angle. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. There we go. Okay. Oh, here's what we need to do. We need to get rid of these two. Let's grab the select lasso. So now we've got this geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Woohoo! Cool. So now we've got that finger. We do need to modify some of the anatomy for these and we need to make sure that the nails are in the right place. Or we need to make sure that the here, let's make sure that we have the finger in the right place. I like where the nails are at. I think that that creates a cool staggering effect. So I'm just going to modify the fingers to fit the nails. I do kind of want to give a little bit more of like that heart sort of shape here. Just so that it's got a little bit more oh shoot, there we go. Okay, so that's got a little bit more definition there. And I think that that's working really nicely now. There's a little too much sameness between the knuckles, so I mean it's just a matter of kind of giving a little bit more emphasis maybe to this middle one. Just as a way to be able to say, hey, I'm a dominant. Let's kind of take that away, maybe emphasize that side a little bit more or something, just so that it's different, so that it's ranged. Smooth those out just a smidge so that it, yeah, just again, just looking to make things feel a little bit different. Because I don't want it to feel repeated. You see, that's starting to feel much more of like a bridge between feline and human. You have a texture in a vector file that contains design, colors, and gradients. I want to use the same texture, gradients, and colors that are showing in vector file in my model. How can I do this? I won't dive into it too much. I wasn't expecting that, and I saw the reflection of it in the framed picture over there. I was like, oh, I've got a visitor. So long as there isn't a killer clown around too. So I won't go too far into this, but one of the hard things about using vector images, you're going to need to not have vector, but you can bring it in as your spotlight, and you can project the colors onto things. That's the easiest way to do it. So I would export it as a PNG or something. Make sure that if you have blacks in your design that you want to actually put onto your model, I would make sure that you adjust it so that it's not pure black, that it's like, you know, just one or two shades, you know, higher, not very high. It just has to be not perfect black. And then you can just project it on there. And there are plenty of videos about that on you know, here on the ZBrush channel. I have plenty of videos about it on my personal channel. So I mean, it's like I'm not going to go into it at all right now, since it's completely non-related to what I'm doing right now. um, but it's a good question, and it's super helpful to know. So I would recommend going and looking into using Spotlight for texturing, because there are some really good resources out there already. And I know that I've done it several times as well. The thumb feels really thick compared to the other fingers, so I think I'm going to try to like narrow this down some. Lots of tweaking. Sculpting is resculpting. Can't remember who I heard say it, but somebody had said topology is retopology, and I couldn't agree more. There's always like going back and forth and making things work, and it's funny. There we go. It's starting to feel a little bit nicer. This feels a little bit strong though. Gotta take that out some. Thank you, Melody. It's a lot of fun, and she's definitely coming along much, much better than she had been. There's still some things I need to work out. These shapes are not working right now. It's like you can see the silhouette from the calf. It's kind of odd. So I'm going to fix that really quick because that's relevant. I'm gonna pull that back so that it's more where the calf should be. Something like that. How's that looking? Is that any better? It's quite a bit better. I think it still needs a little bit of finesse here. It's a little bit too same. Let's do something like that. Nah, I don't like that. Maybe if it's just the one, just kind of smooth it into it some. So I think that feels fine. This bit right here behind the knee, let's kind of lower it some. Just that there's like an offset, so like we get like low and then high. I feel like that helps it to feel a little bit more natural. Ooh. It's all about perspective and what you can see, what you can figure out. That's why you got to keep changing your camera angles. Let's turn on perspective a little bit just to see kind of where we're at. I usually keep this off just because I feel like it's easier to work on things from the orthographic view a lot of the time. but then I'll turn perspective on to be able to check things, to change up how I'm seeing it, that sort of thing. Oh, she's looking good. She's looking so much better now. This is a little bit strong, and this feels like it's missing something, like it's missing some volume. That got way too strong here. Let's get rid of some of the lumpiness there. All right. She's looking pretty good. So there are a couple of things that we're going to want to do next. It's 10 o'clock now. Oh, we got a lot done. I know it doesn't feel like a whole lot sometimes, but we got a whole lot done here just today. Being able to make the nails, being able to get these hands situated quite nicely. They're not perfect, but they're definitely much closer to what I want now than when I started. Kind of tweaking those to see something kind of in between there then. Let's see. That's cool. It's really cool to watch a character come to life like this. For anybody who's new to the stream, I started this character and actually did a full sculpt of her back in, I can't even remember for sure what year it was, like 2016, something like that. Like it's been like 6 or 7 years since I sculpted her, and then it might have been 2015. I don't know. It's been a long, long time. And I really like the potential that she has, and I wanted to be able to. Okay, good. It's a JPEG. Let's open that too. She has a lot of cool potential, and I really wanted to be able to fix some of the anatomy issues that she had. So I went ahead and took her out of this pose, and we worked her into this T pose. I've redesigned her face, as you can tell, I'm sure, looking at her and seeing the differences in the face. But yeah, I mean there's a lot that I'll be going through and doing to be able to bring some of the anatomical ideas, getting some of these cool creases from here coming back into here at some point. But I'm wanting to also let that possibly be more of an expression sort of thing. So we'll have to see what happens. I do want to give her some nice teeth at some point. I want to give her, which I could probably start putting in using what's it called? The claws that we made today, because she'll have those sharp fang teeth. Yeah, I don't want to call them. We'll say feline teeth. So yeah, I mean we've got those sorts of things that we can kind of work in at some point. But yeah, I mean, so far she is looking immensely better than she was, so that's really exciting. Yeah, she'll look much better when she's all finished. Um, there are a whole bunch of costume things that I need to work out. So I mean, I've got like her collar. I've got this little piece going around her rib cage. I have all the drapery that I need to kind of work in. Lots of fun things. Um, but yeah, it's all just fun. It's all just fun. The hair is something that I started working out on my iPad. I don't have that sketch around right now. Um, I think my iPad's over um, by the bed or something. But one of the things that I started trying to work out with the hair is that, I mean, my current hair is very, um, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's just not, I don't know. Like, I feel like I want her to have bigger hair. Um, I mean, since she's supposed to be some legendary Egyptian, I'll say a guardian goddess. Like my Sphinx is a guardian goddess. So she's supposed to be like super cool. But being African, being Egyptian, I guess they're not necessarily like going to be the most similar. I think that Egyptian hair might be a little bit more Arabic than it is because like I don't know that I've seen a whole lot of Egyptians with like the tight curly afro or those that type of hair. So I don't know. It's something I gotta kind of research a little bit more. Um, but I mean, this is the current idea is to have something like this, and then to maybe make it so that it gets into being this. Let's see if I can make this something like. Oh no! It's kind of expanded out from there. Yeah, I want it to be something kind of significant. Very stylized, obviously, but I think that it's something that to me feels cool, um, and it feels kind of mythical, almost like a I don't know, like big hair. I think it could be kind of a fun thing to explore. Um, so whether this stays like a stick straight sort of hair that's brought back into a braid and it's just massive, um, or if it becomes something that um, maybe I do something that's somewhat Lord of the Rings inspired. I don't know. It's one of those things I gotta go through and kind of work through it. So it's I don't know. It's just kind of a fun thing to think about and consider. I do want to try just taking this. Do I have anybody here in the chat that is um, that is from Egypt? It might be a shot in the dark, but if you are from Egypt, I think it'd be cool to hear from you about um, I guess what you view as like a typical hairstyle or um, something that you feel like is um, overly stereotyped, because I do want to do something that's going to be iconic, something that's going to read really quickly and make it feel Egyptian. So a quick, easy read, but I also want it to feel nuanced and, let's take this down a little bit further. Yeah. Let's do something kind of like that. I don't think it's quite working the way that I'd like it to yet, but it's kind of cool. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll grab that. We'll expand it out, bring it down to the bottom. Something like that for now. Just to be able to block it in is trying something different or whatever. I don't know, there's a lot that I want to try. And I think I might try going through and doing like more of an organized braid here on top. Which will come back and maybe I'll have it like split into a couple of smaller braids or something. I don't know. We'll have to see kind of what it is that we do. But I do feel like I want something that feels bigger, something that feels like it's going to take up more space, create a graphic shape. Just kind of rotate that into place. Okay, I think a lot of what we want to do, I'm gonna save it for next week. And I'm not sure if what I have already will work for any of this. So we'll have to see. Where are the clothes? There we go. So we've got this piece, and it's already kind of positioned. I'm more of the mindset, I think, that I just need to recreate this piece. I just need to recreate it so that it's, doing what it should be doing. It's following the anatomy here, whatnot. Um, yeah. I mean, let's go ahead and we'll turn that off, and then or we could just keep it on. Let's see. Is it? Yeah, it looks like it's all. Where is that torso piece? Is it hiding? Oh, I don't want to render. There it is. It's hidden a little bit. This is supposed to go down here more or less. Just to be able to fit it in somewhere so that it's. Maybe what we can do is we can kind of reposition these, the collar piece and this piece here, let it be the last thing we do today. It won't be like perfectly clean or anything like that, but it'll be hopefully enough for this to feel a little bit more complete. Because yeah, there's definitely a lot left to do to make this so that this works. With the new anatomy. And I mean, it's like if this does work and I can just, redo the tassel bits, that makes things a little bit easier. Put in the new onk, that could be cool. Let's go ahead and turn off that hair. And I think I want to expand it too so that it's, fitting over her shoulders more. And this is something that I'll probably I need to be super careful with so that I don't create too much of a mess. Because that'll be really, really easy to mess up this whole thing just by stretching it too much. And I want to avoid that synthetic stretchy sort of feeling. But I do like how I have some cool, I'll say deformations, some inconsistencies with the surface, because it makes it feel like it's warping. It makes it feel like it's bending around some character's anatomy, and it feels really neat. It's just a matter of making sure that the beads feel like beads instead of feeling like they're fabric, because I definitely don't want them to feel like fabric. I want them to feel like they're solid beads. Oh, this is so dope. Okay. Oh God, this. Oh God, that was insane. Okay. This is an original character, yes. Um, she's a sphinx. She's supposed to be kind of like my version of the Egyptian goddess Bastet. At least that's the plan at the moment. um, and yeah, just kind of a fun. I do want to get rid of some of this peak here. This is a little bit aggressive. Because while on the one hand it makes it feel like it's, beads stitched together and it's creating this cool shape, it feels like it's a little bit too much of everything. I think I may need to go through and maybe rebuild this entire row. Which, I mean, I built an IMM brush to be able to figure this out, to be able to get this to work. So it shouldn't be too bad. But I'm just going to try to kind of bring this down and even it out some more, just as a means of blocking it out. Because that'll be important to me, is having it somewhat figured out and blocked in so that it's, and granted, when I go through and I make the final version, it'll probably have, to some extent, a much more rigid look, which is fine. I mean, like I said, they're beads. It's supposed to feel rigid, it's supposed to feel stiff, because it's supposed to create more of a graphic shape rather than flow with the body and whatnot. Just trying to make sure that I keep mindful of what's underneath, so I can use this to modify the overall appearance. That's going through the neck now. This is a little bit aggressive here, so we're just going to kind of pull it back some. Okay, now let's turn that hair back on just so that it's there. Okay, let's go ahead and grab this and we can just kind of rotate it out. So that's sitting on top of her chest instead of... There we go. Something like that could work. Let's grab that onk. Do a similar sort of thing where we're just kind of like bring it out. Okay, good. I still have the move brush active, so just kind of pull that over. It does feel a little bit warped, so I'm going to try to tweak that some. There we go. Let's get this one going. Oops. Okay, let's actually take this and we'll use the transpose line and we'll just kind of like twist it down some. I love that transpose line. It's so helpful. I have no idea who Beerus is. Oh, from Dragon Ball. Okay, I see what you're saying. Mine's cooler. No, just kidding. Yeah, I can't compete with those guys. They're so popular. They're over 9,000. Let's kind of swing this down so it feels like gravity is holding it. In fact, let's kind of make sure that this is feeling a little bit more natural. And I think this is probably as much as we have to do on it. Cool. So yeah, she's coming along. She's doing pretty well. This is one of those things again that this will be more of a block in for the piece that I'll do later. It's like super high in resolution and whatnot, but I think that that's working pretty nicely, just for the sake of placeholder and figuring things out. Save. I'll hit save. Oh, my shoulders feel so stiff. All right. Oh, you know what? I want this one to be straightened out as well. Oh, shoot. Let me see. We'll go ahead. We'll grab these. Grab that. Yeah, I just want this to be straightened out more over the arm. And we'll take this and just kind of move it down. The Maxon email just went out talking about live streams, and guess who's live? Me! Let's go ahead and bring this down. I'll just kind of like put this where I need it to be. And then I'll bring the rest of everything kind of down to it. I think that'll probably be the best way to go about this particular bit right here. Same thing, let's kind of take this, pull it down so that it's resting on her body. Let's say move just to make sure that it's connecting where it should be. And let's lengthen it out some because that's kind of a weak sauce tassel. Make sure that that's fitting where it should be. There we go. Quite a bit better. Let's apply some materials to this, and then we'll call it a day. It's like anything that is here. Let's turn off lines so we can see our polygroups. Anything that is bead, so it should be just that. Great. Let's go ahead and give this. Let's give this a clay material. Let's just say material, color, fill object. With these, let's get all the gold here. I want these to all be metallic. So I want these to be, let's say, rough metal. Let's say color fill object. I do want it to be more of a golden color though. So let's take this and say kind of a color fill object. Oh, RGB. That's why I was like, it's not putting it in. Okay, so that's looking pretty cool. The earrings too. I mean, I can go through and make sure that these are also. Let's hit C right here. We'll say mRGB color fill object, just so that they're the same. I'll leave that the hair tie stuff the way that it is. This could be cool to have as like a white gold, or like a different kind of gold here. So it's not quite the same. That'll be cool, like eventually to go through and make it so that there is some sort of alternation of pattern and material. Let's grab this. I'll say basic. It looks like it could be basic. Okay, and I'll do the same thing for these two. Let's go ahead and grab these and say basic. Let's turn on our creepy eyes. Since that's already worked out. I haven't done anything to this yet, so maybe let's do that real quick. I'm going to say let's fill this whole thing with basic color fill object, and then with the beads here, let's grab just those and we'll fill it with the clay material so that it's a different material. I'm trying to debate whether I want to take these and give them some sort of other like clay type color. RGB color fill object. Let's see. I mean, it's not bad, but it doesn't feel like it fits with everything else. So maybe instead, let's just go ahead and say C, and then we'll drag out to get the material as well. mRGB color fill object, and now we're at least consistent. We'll figure out. We'll design what's going on with this particular piece at some point, because I do want to think about adding in some other color accents here or there, whatever. And I think this particular piece could be a good spot for those sorts of color accents. Some sort of like clay red or something like that. And maybe it's a matter of like adding random beads here and there that have a red to it or something, because like maybe maybe it's just what they had available when they were building for the goddess. I don't know. But cool. This is fun so far. Okay, so now that we have this, we can go through. I need to make sure that my redshift render is turned on, make sure that I saved. And now let's go ahead and hit render and see what she looks like. One of the nice things about redshift is that it'll go through at render time and it'll smooth the normals of your geometry, so you get nice smooth transitions and things like that. That's looking pretty dope. I am enjoying that. It's exciting. It's exciting when you start getting along in a project and feeling like you're making progress on something, you know. It's just nice. Let me see if exporting my images will work today. What's today, the 10th? Nope, it's not going to let me export images. Let's see, zoom. Maybe if I clear my document space, maybe it'll... You know what? Let's try doing this too. Let's try changing our document size. Let's go ahead and change this to 2100. Resize, please. You know what? I'm going to turn it off to the side just because, you know, 3/4 view is always more appealing. Kind of fun too because little tassels from the collar, they're kind of hiding the seam between the arms and the body where it's not connected yet. It won't be connected. That's one thing that I'll keep separate. It won't get connected until I do topology. So yeah, the suffering I go through sculpting something and never rendering it out. Yeah. I try to start getting rendering tests pretty early. That way I can get a good feel for what's working and what isn't working. Um, like you said, I mean it's hard not seeing your things get finished, and so I guess that you didn't technically say that. It's just a matter of not finishing it out or not rendering it out. Um, to me, I really like that, and that's the feeling that I get from it. Is like I get a little bit more of an idea of what it looks like if it's finished. So yeah, it's fun. Let's try it one more time, see if I can get this. 10A, still nothing. I'm actually going to see, did it actually save it? No? Yeah, I didn't think it did. I do want the picture though. It's something that just kind of drives me nuts. It hasn't been working lately. It's like export screen grab. I can do the same thing and just give it the same name. And maybe it's just a matter of changing the file format. Yeah, I'm just going to change the file format. Let's try that, see if that works. Just to be able to test and see if something works. We'll say export, change it to a PNG. Change this to 06-10A. Save. There it goes. Yes. So changing the file type worked. Uh, I wonder if I change it back, if it'll work now. Just for, experimentation's sake, right? Nope, didn't work. But it worked exporting it as a PNG, so that's fine. I'll accept that. Let's see. Yeah, long ears. Yep. The long ears are definitely part of something that to me is going to help her feel more mythical, more crazy. When you change the file type, does that help with the resolution? Um, so the resolution is going to be, I'm pretty sure it's just like a 72. In fact, I can open up Photoshop. We can check and see what it is that it gives us. Um, because we can set the dimensions, but I'm not sure what the actual resolution is. Come on. Okay, so let's see. Let's get image size. So it's giving us 100 pixels per inch. So that's pretty good. If we wanted to, though, I mean, the best thing that we could do probably is go ahead and just change our dimensions to be able to make something bigger. I don't know that there's a way to be able to change things like for instance our resolution, but I'm going to say Control Shift D. We'll just do this. So the thing that it'll give you'll have like this quality slider. Having that all the way up to 100 is imperative. File size, I don't know. It, I'm assuming that when it works, that file size is where it needs to be, wherever whatever it's. You got these adjustments here that you can do to be able to adjust color. I never touch this. Um, but then it's just like the cropping that you can do too as well. Too as well. Yeah, that's redundant. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of fun. So, but yeah, it's not really quite working. The thing that you can do though is you can go ahead and you can change your save as type. You do a Photoshop document PNG bitmap or a TIFF. Um, so yeah, PNG is just one that I'm more familiar with. Though at Blizzard we use TIFFs for what's it called for textures. So it's kind of interesting trying to get used to seeing TIFFs on my list of things. Stephen V. I guess it's probably like a little smiley face. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That is another thing I think that I've tried in the past and it didn't quite work. I'll constrain my proportions. Let's see if we take this down to 1600. Let's do something kind of like this for now or whatever. Turn on our perspective for some fancy realism. Go ahead and render that out. Hey, Sirchan. Can you show how the eyes are done? We did the eyes last week. Oh no, ZBrush crashed. Shoot. Oh well, we got a render out of it, so that's not too bad. That's probably just a sign that we just need to call it a day. But yeah, we did the eyes last week. So if you want to see how those eyes were done, at least I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that we did the eyes last week. Here, let's jump over here. For anybody who's interested, this is what the calendar is looking like right now. So we've got Layla going tomorrow from 11:30 to 1:30 Pacific time, and then we got Ana Carolina also on Sunday tomorrow from 4 to 6. So that'll be cool. Ian will be going on Monday, which will be cool. Ian's great. Wow, so this coming week is kind of sparse. Heh. And we got Nacho Riesco on Thursday, and then me again next week. I need to update my bio in here because that's kind of out of date. But you know what? Let's click into this. Or we can just go in here, YouTube. Let's try this. Hey, look, there's me. Let's go into Pixelogic. Oh, hey, look, there's the lion. Or the tiger, rather. What am I looking for? Videos. And then you can scroll down to... Is it really that long ago? Oh, maybe it's under live then. Yeah, it'd be underneath live. Is this the right one? I think this is the right one. Streamed 6 days ago. So we can come through here. We should be able to find... Uh-oh, maybe I didn't do the eyes. Man, here I was this whole time thinking that I did the eyes last week. Man, I've done a lot in the past week then. I guess wife maker. Awesome. I've only made one, so you know it's Oh, unless you're referring to our character. Let me see. Load tool, because we did save stuff. I'm not sure what the other recovered tool would be. But yeah, anyway, let's see. What is there anything that I need to do with this? No, right? I don't know. I don't remember. Just kind of give her a little bit of an angle or something. Zoom in some. I want to be able to see like her head and then some of her body, so this way I can kind of make a make a decent image here. Oh, there's the difference of redshift. Okay, fine, 2. But yeah, I've only made one wife. I'll show before I close out. I'll show kind of my technique for making eyes. I know that I've made them before on the stream, so maybe I'll have to see about making a quick video about making eyes. These particular eyes are interesting because the pupils are a little bit more square, to get more into that feline sort of eye. But yeah, so this is where we're at. Control Shift E. Let's see if it works. Nope. Control Shift E, change it to a PNG, and then we'll say 10B. Yeah, let's go ahead and show how to make an eye, because it'll be helpful having an eye, I guess, you know. Let's come over here. Come over here. These are the old eyes. Kind of odd. I'm going to say delete. Okay. These are like the old eyelashes. Just see kind of like if they fit. I might have to take these and actually make them so that they kind of flow along the actual spot where the eyeball touches the eyelid. Um, oh boy, now I'm curious. Like, what would that look like? I bet it's gonna be kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I'll do for eyelashes, but I do like the idea of having these really neat graphic eyelashes. Oh, it's looking so cool. Oh wow, guys. Oh wow. Control Shift E. Change that to C. Okay, so now we've got those images exported. We're making some good progress. You came back just in time, Prashan. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap things up to be able to end the stream. But what I wanted to do before leaving is just kind of show like my technique for making eyes. So let's jump over. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. I'm going to say let's grab a sphere, and then oop, let's kind of zoom in onto it. So right now this is not something that I can sculpt on. So I make polymesh 3D, and now this is something that I can sculpt on that I can use. Um, my shoulder. Turn on symmetry just so that I can see exactly what I'm doing, so I know that I'm looking at it from the side, and then I'm going to rotate it. So I must have. There we go. Cool. And then just rotate it forward so at 90 degrees it's sitting nice and happy. So now there are two parts. There are two parts. Um, there's going to be the eye base and there's going to be the eye glass. So I'm going to go ahead and say Control Shift D so I can duplicate that out. And we'll just leave a regular sphere here, and we'll go ahead and let's see, Control Shift D again, just so we can have this as a placeholder, so that we have the base to go back to, and then we have the eye base and the eye glass. So let's go ahead and name this eye base. Go up one, rename it eye glass. With the eye glass, it's going to be a little bit different than with the eye base. You gotta decide like how big you want your eye to be, like your iris and whatnot. That's a little bit too big, so I'm gonna kind of focus it in some. Maybe one more. And it kind of depends too. It's like if you're doing something more cartoony, having a larger iris can be fun. It can be really nice. But if you're doing something more realistic, then you're going to want to compare and get more of like a naturalistic sort of eye. What I'm going to do here is that here with the eye base, I have solo turned on. Let's go ahead and hit actual so that we're zoomed in all the way. I'm just going to go ahead and use this transpose line, hold shift and drag it out. Well, drag it out and then hold shift so that it keeps a nice straight line coming out. And I'm just going to hold shift and oh, sorry. Let's mask this part out so that it's only affecting the one poly group. Now we can hold shift and pull it in. You can pull it in kind of however far you want. The goal is just to make kind of this dish. Okay. So now what's nice is that you can come in here and you can decide on, Control Shift S to 3, something like that. Maybe one more. Just so that way you have a nice polygroup to be able to create a pupil. Okay. So really quick and easy. Just click and hold Shift and drag that out. You can hold Control, click and drag. Control, and then once you hold Control and start dragging, you can hold Shift and it'll drag it straight back. It doesn't look like it's straight though, so here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm going to use the gizmo because that's something that I know is super reliable. If we want to know what's happening inside, what we can do is we can come down to Display Properties and hit Flip. Okay, so now you can see as if you're looking at the inside of the eye. I'm going to hold Control and just click and drag. Okay, so you can do this one of two ways. Either you have your pupil kind of dragged back, so then when you're looking at it, let's go ahead and hit flip again. You have just like this pupil that's kind of built in. If I'm doing something for 3D print, I'll usually have this so that it is. Here, I need to go through and fix that masking button again. Control H. There we go. If I'm doing something for 3D printing, I'll usually take it in and kind of scale it in a little bit, so that way it still has the appearance of a pupil, but it's something that will print and will be solid and work really nicely. If I'm wanting to do something that is going to work really well for like production, then what I'll do is I'll Control, click and drag again, and then I'll scale it out. Okay, so now this becomes something that I can detach this pupil section if I want to, or I can color it. I can say, let's say MRGB color fill object, and you see now we've got a nice clean pupil with this band going around here. I want to make sure that I have support edges, so sometimes what I'll do is I'll hit bevel, edge loop, and then I'll just kind of bevel that down. I'll get the same kind of bevel going on in here, so that way it just feels consistent, it feels nice. Okay, so we'll grab these, we'll grab this, invert, Control W, so that way we have, a polygroup there. It's really kind of similar to everything else. And in fact, we could do is Control Shift X, and we'll make sure that that's part of that polygroup. So that way when we come in here and we select this, we can go ahead and select this, and we can say MRGB or even just RGB. We can say color fill object. So now we've got an eye with the pupil and an iris. So that's part one, right? Okay, this is just super simple part one. Let's change this to stylized skin or clay. Clay is a good one too, so we can just put clay. We'll say material, make sure that's not masked, color fill object. So now we have the eyeglass that we need to play with. Okay, this needs to be complete. Okay, and you can see this is how it's fitting over the top. You see a lot of face conflicts. It's laid down exactly on the top. So what I'll do is I'll use display properties. I will hit, not display properties, deformation, inflate, just like one or two. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. It just has to be bigger. Okay, so you can see like there's a small bit where it's bigger. Okay, yep. Well, 2023 for the rendering stuff, but the modeling part is exactly the same as any other version of ZBrush. You should be able to do this in as early as ZBrush 2019, probably, um, or 4R9, whatever version came out that year. This bit right here, I want to select this poly group. I'm going to put in my gizmo right here and just kind of expand that out. So now if I look at this without, let's turn off the transparency, even hit smooth, like smooth preview, whatnot. You can see that that's looking kind of like an eyeball. This is nice. This is fun. This is how I would build an eye for production, for animation. For games, it'd be a little bit different. But yeah, so since we are in 2023, we can come in here. We can say, let's take this up. We'll say mRGB color fill object. And so now when we come over here and we hit render, you'll see that it's behaving like an eye would behave. Really simple. It's a great fun way to be able to get decent realistic character eyes. It's not the best view of it, but it's, let's see, eye base. I have found that it feels a little bit better if I deepen this this dish. Just feels like it works a little bit nicer. So turn that back on. We can go ahead and render that again. But yeah, like I said, I mean it's more of a modeling technique than it is a rendering technique, because you can get these sorts of materials in anything. It's just a matter of getting the right glass shader and everything to work for you inside of something like, you could do it in Blender if you don't have access to the newest version of ZBrush. You could do it inside of Maya if you have that. It's just a matter of getting, like I said, the change of materials, and that'll help. Something that I want to play with, eyeglass. Let's go ahead and come over here to material. Let's dock it so that we can see it. Modifiers. This index of refraction for the coat. I want to see if there's any other place where index of refraction, there we go, refraction. I'm going to change this. Is it going to let me? Or is it going to crash? I'm not at all sure what just happened. Coat roughness, coated. Weird. I have no idea what just happened. Did anybody see? Did anybody notice what it is that just happened? Because I mean, that should not be changing like that. That's really odd. Anyway, let's come in here. Refract, index of refraction. Let's put it up to 3. Let's hit render, see if that does anything. Hey, Leonard. Okay, so the idea is for this to kind of warp the iris more. So I'm going to try turning this down to, let's turn it down to 1. Because typically what I remember from Maya is that the refraction seems to work best at lower values, but it doesn't really feel like it's getting much of a difference. So I don't know, that'll be something I'd have to go through and actually play around with. this is kind of interesting. Oh, look at that. It's kind of like a cataract. A cat-aract. Sorry, that was dumb. But that's really cool. That's actually really cool. It's getting like a blur. So this would be kind of cool to be able to create a feeling of like a gummy, like you know how it's kind of translucent. Oh man, I've got to okay. I'm gonna play with this right now because this is helpful to me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this eye and shrink it. You know what? Control Shift D. That way we don't lose it. So we can keep that eye base as it is. Shrink it down. Okay, so we can see Control T. Sweet. So if we look at it the way that it is, we can get a better feel for how this material. Oh, that is so cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to save this material out. That was a very simple thing to get. I don't want it to be so glossy though, so let's take that sheen, or not sheen, the coat roughness, and we'll turn that up. Actually, the coat weight's not even on, so it might not even be a matter of the coat. Reflect roughness, this could be turned up. Maybe not super high, maybe like a 0.4, somewhere between like a 0.4 and 0.5. Let's see what that does. And then if this works, yeah, this is Redshift. Yeah, that's too rough. Let's put it to like 0.1. Let's put it something pretty low. Okay, that's feeling a little bit better. Not quite what I want. Reflect roughness. Let's take it just a little bit further. Put it up to like 0.2. So that way it's still reflective, but that reflection is quite, yeah, there we go. That looks a little bit better. So now when we get this should hopefully feel a lot more like a gummy. I like it. I like it. I'm going to save it. Yeah, Fabio, I'm totally sorry. I get it. I totally get it. I wish it was something that was still offered. Um, but it's hard. How was Monster Palooza? Did you end up not going, Leonard? It was pretty good. It was fun. It was nice to be able to go in to see everybody, you know, spend some time with friends, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, it was nice. It was a good time. And I tried taking this refraction roughness down a little bit further. Just to see like what I can get. I never got out of my house. See, this feels a little bit better. I like this. It's kind of cool, and I like that it's warping. Well, I mean, it's warping because of the way that we built out that cornea. But yeah, That refraction might be a little bit heavy. Let's try changing it up to... Let's try changing it up to like... Let's change it back to 1.5, just for the sake of making it so that it's back to the default. And see what that gives us. Sorry, I got onto a train and I'm not getting off anytime soon. I like it. Ship it. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. And I am going to go back into... So here's what we got to do. We got to go into the Maxon folder. It's underneath the C drive under Program Files, Maxon ZBrush 2023. We can come in here to ZData Materials, Redshift Materials. I'm going to call this Gummy. In fact, maybe what I'll do is I'll put SMA Gummy. That way I'll start like making my library skin stylized. This way I've got stuff kind of building up. Just one of those days. Hopefully it was a good one, one of those good days where it's like, you know, things are just so nice at home, you just want to enjoy it. You know. No, I get it. But yeah, anyway, so that's kind of the principle there, is getting that getting stuff working in that sort of way. Just having fun. So then you end up in this particular instance. Oh, that's gonna mess up my my material here. But in fact, let's see what it looks like with the crazy eyes, with the crazy gummy material. Um, it doesn't look as crazy as I was expecting. It definitely makes it feel like milkier almost, which is kind of funny. It definitely blurs out the details quite a bit. So yeah, yeah, enjoying every day is nice. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it right there. I am going to leave it right there because that was fun. So yeah, that's how I did my eye. That's how that's how I kind of play around with materials too. You just kind of tinker with it and see what you can get by pushing the values, and that's where we're at. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I had a good time having you guys out here. Thanks for coming and keeping me company while I'm sculpting and doing fun things and saying random stuff. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. And gosh, I'll see you next time I see you. Thanks for coming. Smartest out.